So I'm Stahl. I'm the head of audio at the Washington Post. So I run a division that deals with the content and strategy of all of our audio products, podcasts, smart speakers, voice assistants, and other audio projects, experiments. I'm very cognizant of going last here, not only of this panel, but towards the end of what I know has been a long day. So I'm going to try to offer some very high-level summations of everything that you've just been hearing. Because I think it's been very cool to listen to these presentations from my colleagues in this space, because I think there are some things that come through very clearly here for me that we think about at the Post as well. One is how exciting the space of on-demand audio is right now. It's something that we are looking at massive changes coming in the future. We're seeing ways that audio is going to be part of people's lives that it hasn't been before. And we're looking at all of this potential opportunity stretched out in front of us. And at the same time, it was really clear in all of these presentations that there's a lot of challenges to realizing that opportunity in this moment. We are seeing massive growth in podcast listenerships. You saw in the first bit of this presentation, 30% of Americans now say they listen to podcasts every month. That's 70% who don't. Right? And the number of podcasts that are out there are growing every year, potentially even faster than the listenership is growing. Smart speakers are in more houses than ever before. They're going to be in every device that we own in all of our lives. But those are still an incredibly nascent ecosystem. They still are not sure how they want to treat news on those platforms, and discovery is a huge issue. Right, so what do you make of all of that? As you're sitting here listening and you kind of want to go back to your news organizations and your companies, how do you make sense of all of that world? And I'll tell you, at the Washington Post, the way that we're making sense of it is we are investing in this space. We now produce over 20 episodes of podcast content, audio content, every week. And that's everything from daily news to weekly analysis, to these sort of massive documentary, sound-rich, ambitious miniseries. We're really, really excited about that space. That's paired with investment on our tech and engineering side. We have a great product team that has built a custom audio CMS for us, that works with us on experimentation on new platforms, that's worked to build our own proprietary native dynamic ad insertion technology. And just in December, we launched our own daily news podcast, Post Reports. It's a massive flagship effort for us. I won't talk too much about it because you've heard a lot about daily news podcasts already. I will show you one thing that I'm really excited about that hopefully gets an ooh. Blinking? No? Thank you. All right. No, but I'll just say briefly, this is something we thought a lot about as we were trying to decide, was this a space we wanted to enter into? The New York Times was already there, NPR was already there, Vox was already there. And once we decided that it was, that the journalism that the Washington Post does, the news that we're putting out every day, that we really wanted the venue to put that out in the audio space, then we thought a lot about what that would be. What makes us stand out? What's really different and special about the Washington Post? And where we landed with this program is, our differentiator, our core asset is our journalism. It is our journalists. It is the strength of the newsroom that we have, and the depth of experience and analysis that we bring not only to politics. I mean, yes, to politics. People know the Washington Post for our politics. We are in Washington, D.C., steeped in the world of politics. But beyond that, too, I mean, we have reporters in our newsroom who are the leading experts on space, on technology, on comic books. And so when we thought about our daily news podcast, we really thought about how we reflect the breadth of that experience and the idea not only that we have all of that coverage in our newsroom, but that people are interested in so much more than just kind of the blaring headlines and the news alerts of the day, right? We wanted to create something that reflected the idea that news is so much more, that what matters in our world is so much more. So Post Reports is really, really exciting for us, and we're getting a lot of great feedback to that approach that's a little bit more multidisciplinary, allows us to range a little bit more widely in the idea of what the news is. And this program is really reflective of the way that we are thinking about the audio ecosystem right now, the way we are making sense of all this kind of opportunity and the challenges that it's paired with. And the way that I think about it, the way that I kind of want the post to think about it and would encourage all of you to think about it, is that there is room for more things in the audio space. I think particularly room for journalism. Journalism is a differentiator for all of us here in this room. It's something not everyone can do. But there's not room for everything. There's room for great things, and there's things that stand out. And before I switch to the next slide, I just want everyone to take note. I have a certificate in graphic design, and I hope it really shows through here. This was worth the money that I spent on that 15 years ago. But there's room for great things. And the idea of what is a great thing, what makes your organization unique, what can you do that's going to stand out, all of us are going to have a different answer to that question. But answering that question is what really matters. So at the Post, our answer to that question is we make programs that are smart, different, and true to the Post. This is the motto that we kind of live by when we think about what makes a great Washington Post podcast. So smart, we mean that every program from the Washington Post, everything you listen to from us, should teach you something about your world. You should walk away feeling that you have new information or a new perspective, whether that's on the news or on your world, that we don't just do audio for the sake of it, that we want you to really feel that you've gained something from our programs. By different, we mean every Washington Post program should feel like something you haven't heard before, whether it's the topic, the format, the storytelling style. We really want to push ourselves with everything that we do to try to break the boundaries and figure out some new spaces that we can explore in audio storytelling. And then, of course, true to the Post, we really believe that journalism is a differentiator, that the newsroom and the news and the reporters that we have are the best asset that we can put out there. And it's interesting to hear Steve say the same thing. I think all of us can kind of look to our reporters and see what they have to offer. So that leads us to some really exciting things coming up in the next couple of months through the rest of this year. The first one is something we just launched called Voices of the Movement. This is a special mini-series from Jonathan Capehart, one of our opinions columnists, capturing the stories and sort of reflections of these civil rights leaders of the 60s era. They're in their 80s and 90s now, and kind of capturing what they have to pass on to us before they can't do that anymore. And some other stuff through the rest of the year. I cannot wait for you guys to all hear our history of the space race that we're releasing for the anniversary of the moon landing. It's going to be really, really special, really different. I'm so excited about that. And I wish I could stop there. I wish I could say, make great things, make unique things, make special things, and great, you've done it. Unfortunately, that is not the case. My fantastic partner on the product side of the Washington Post, Joe Price, makes me include this metaphor in all of my presentations. You may recognize that you're laughing. That's good. Field of dreams, right? If you build it, they will come. Not the case here with audio. Audio has a big discovery problem. You cannot sort of imagine it's enough to just make great things. I've actually never seen Field of Dreams, so this metaphor that Joe gave me goes a little over my head. But he gave me something else that I think is both simple and genius, and is the way that we think about kind of what we do with all this great content. How do we imagine the ways that we are going to get this in front of people, and the ways that that's going to set us up for success, particularly in some of these new spaces. And so the little motto that we've come up here is we want people to know us, love us, and then in this world of smart speakers and voice assistants, ask for us. And I think, again, it sounds really simple, but the key to this is you look out at these kind of voice interactive platforms, and I think a lot of people jump right to ask. Right? They kind of say like, great, I'm on these platforms, people are going to listen to me on these platforms. And you can't expect people to jump all the way there. First, they have to know that you exist, and they have to want to get you in that new space. So to just kind of like go through this briefly, I want to just put forward a couple of questions that you can ask yourselves in each of these different areas. Again, so you can kind of take this back with you. So for no, I'd encourage you all to think about what are the levers that you have at your disposal to put your stuff in front of people, right? What do you already have access to that maybe you could use better or use stronger? And even more than that, what partnerships can you form within your own organizations to gain access to more of those levers? Who could you be working with to make this an effort of your organization, something everyone's behind, and not just something that, you know, the newsroom is putting out or you're putting out on your own? We're also thinking a lot at the Washington Post about how we expand the listening audience beyond that 30% of people who listen to podcasts. How do we reach people who maybe don't know yet that podcasts are for them, or will never be willing to open that app on their phone with the little broadcast thing on it? So we're experimenting right now with subscribe by email, basically letting people say, you know, I don't want to go into this Apple app, this Google app, I don't know what those are, but just send it to me in email every day. And we're really excited to continue playing in that space and figure out ways to unlock that kind of majority of people who still aren't really inclined to play in this space with us. When we think about love, of course, great things is one way that you make people love you, right? Great content engenders love. Some other things that I just want to suggest need to be thought about in the realm of love is user experience. That is user experience within your audio product, right? So how do you make sure that everything that somebody's hearing creates a great experience? That includes the advertising that they're hearing. It includes any other sort of messaging that they're hearing. And how do you make sure that the way that they find them creates a positive experience? We also think a lot about how we build that relationship with our hosts so that people feel part of the programs that we're putting out there. And finally, then and only then can you expect people to ask for you on a smart speaker device. So to kind of sum all that up, I just want to sort of say again, like there's a lot of exciting things happening here right now. You've heard from some of the other presentations, some of the things that we're thinking about in terms of where audio is going, where on-demand is going. And I think there's all sorts of things coming in the next several years that we're not even thinking about yet, that we can't even anticipate. But where does that leave you now in this moment with what we can do? And I would say it is make great things and make sure people know about those great things. Super simple, but somehow profound. And if you want to see our great things, WashingtonPost.com/podcast.